This is the network service of the NTA.
It is the task of Ndlea to stop all this unacceptable nonsense of drug abuse, drug trafficking in Nigeria. Nigeria is the only country we have. We cannot fold our arms. We can, will, and must eliminate the drug scourge.
Prudence in the management of scarce resources has always been a challenge for many organizations. Hence the centrality of the operation of the finance department to the overall well-being of the organization. For the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Ndlea, the Directorate of Finance and Account is at the heart of its day-to-day workings due to the importance of funding to the drug war. This is Ndlea Today. We're glad that you are here. Welcome to this week's episode of the program. Our focus on this edition of the program is on the Directorate of Finance and Account, while our Risking It All segment will be providing an update on the Ikorodu drug bust. Our companion segments, News Highlights, Executive Summary, WADA Update, and Do You Know also come your way if you stay with us all through the program. Once again, good to have you join us on Ndlea Today.
On the news highlights for this week's episode of Ndlea Today. General Marwa pledges credible statistics in drug control. Ndlea destroys 2.7 tons of drugs in Akwa Ibom. 75-year-old grandpa, 21 others arrested over tons of illicit drugs seized in 7 states. General Marwa hands over 78 million naira insurance claims to injured officers and deceased officers, relatives, and beneficiaries. The Chairman Chief Executive Officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, has pledged to continue to ensure the integrity of the statistics of drug control for national planning and development. He noted that for the agency to achieve its mandate of exterminating drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking, adequate and relevant data must be available. The chairman stated this when the Statistician General and CEO, National Bureau of Statistics, Prince Adeyemi Adeniro, paid him a courtesy visit on Tuesday with his management team at the agency's national headquarters in Abuja. He reiterated the need for accurate records of government activities for accelerated national development.
I'd like to congratulate you for your various achievements and your appointment as the Statistician General of the Federation. I wish you a very successful tenure. We are in need of capacity building, and I'm sure the Director will continue to push for it. We will be in full support so that we can get more training for our own personnel to be able to collate, analyze, and interpret data.
Responding, the CEO NBS, Prince Adeyemi Adeniro, commended General Marwa for the giant strides taken by the agency under his leadership in less than 2 years. He described as legendary the arrests and seizures so far made. Prince Adeyemi was particularly thrilled with the recent seizure of 1.8 tons of cocaine in Lagos.
Since the inception of Ndlea, I'm not sure we have had it like this, where the chairman is on top of the game and is catching up with all these drug pushers and users.
The NBA Director General was received by General Marwa and his management team. The Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, retired OFR, has handed over the sum of 78 million naira insurance benefits to injured officers and relatives or beneficiaries of the deceased officers. In a brief ceremony held at the agency's headquarters on Wednesday, September 28, 2022, General Marwa, represented by the agency's secretary, Barrister Shedrack Haruna, noted that no amount of money can replace the loss of lives of gallant officers of the NDLEA who died in active service, but the insurance benefit is to bring some succor to the beneficiaries of the deceased officers. The group personnel accident policy for officers of the NDLEA expired and became moribund before General Marwa assumed office as the CCEO. The expiration of the policy brought untold hardship to relatives and dependents of the deceased officers whose premium was not paid for the insurance scheme. On assumption of office by General Marwa in 2021, he immediately resuscitated the scheme by paying the premium to run up until 2023. The agency secretary, from the chairman's speech, used the occasion to call on the appointed underwriters who are still owing outstanding insurance claims to pay without delay to alleviate the sufferings of the families of the deceased personnel concerned. The claims for deceased officers were between 1 million naira to 8,685,000 naira, depending on the rank of the officers, while those with minor injuries received between 145,000 naira to 200,000 naira. Akwa Ibom State Governor Mr. Udom Gabriel Emmanuel has pledged continued collaboration with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to stem the tide of drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking in the state. The governor, who was represented by the Deputy Governor Mr. Moses Frank Ekbo, made the commitment during the public destruction of 2.7 tons of drugs recently seized by the Akwa Ibom State Command of the agency in Uyo recently. He stated that the agency needs to be well funded to sustain the spate of arrests, seizures, diligent prosecution of drug cases, rehabilitation and reintegration of drug-dependent persons, as well as other successes recorded by the agency under the General Marwa-led administration. General Marwa, who was represented by the agency's secretary, Barrister Shedrack Haruna, reiterated the agency's commitment to the fulfillment of her mandate of exterminating the abuse and trafficking in narcotics and psychotropic substances. He said the public destruction of drug exhibits has become a regular occurrence under the current leadership of NDLEA. A 75-year-old grandfather, Usman Bokina Bajama alias Clement, tops the list of 22 suspects arrested in operations across 7 states by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA. The septuagenarian was arrested where he had a cannabis plantation from where 49 kilograms of the illicit substance was recovered. In Kwara State, 19,878 bottles of the banned new psychoactive substance Akuskura were intercepted by NDLEA operatives along Ilori-Jeba Highway on Wednesday, 21st September, and 2 suspects, Oladokun Oluwaseun and Ibrahim Jimo, were arrested. 2 other suspects, Ukoro Ifeanyi and Idowu Toyosi, were arrested with 2,290 bottles of codeine-based syrup at Maraba Park, Ilori. The drugs were brought in from Onitsha, Anambra State. In Lagos, NDLEA operatives acting on credible intelligence intercepted a Volvo truck loaded with 2,146 kilograms of cannabis, and 3 suspects, Abdulaziz Rashid, Afiz Rahim and Moshood Suleiman, arrested. at least 979,119 capsules of expired pregabalin weighing 733 kilograms were recovered from Mushbahu Yahu and 5 others at Dansani area of Kano, while in Enugu 197.8 kilograms of cannabis were recovered in a store at New Market, Enugu. In the same vein, 117.7 kilograms of the psychoactive substance was intercepted along Okene-Abuja Expressway in a truck coming from Lagos to Abuja. Similar seizure of varieties of illicit substances and multiple arrests were recorded in Edo and MMIA Lagos. The Chairman Chief Executive of NDLEA, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, retired, has since commended the officers and men of the Adamawa, Kwara, Lagos, Kano, Enugu, Kogi, Edo, and MMIA Command for their resilience.
President Muhammadu Buhari has appreciated the efforts of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) in ridding the country of harmful effects of the nefarious activities of the drug barons, whom he described as merchants of death. The president, who received the chairman chief executive of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, retired at the State House, Abuja, was full of praise for the recent successes recorded by the agency. The visit by the NDLEA boss was against the backdrop of the historic seizure of 1.8 tons of cocaine in a warehouse in Ikorodu area of Lagos State by the operatives of the agency. Marwa, who had earlier been commended by the president through a phone call from New York on the remarkable feat, was in the State House to properly brief the president on the operation. According to the NDLEA boss, the drug bust was not only intelligence-driven, but was also very clinical, hence the absence of skirmishes and bloodletting. He further informed President Buhari that the seized cocaine had been publicly destroyed to send the right signals to other would-be investors in the drug business. He further thanked the president for all the support received so far by the agency under his leadership. The president enjoined the NDLEA boss and his team to keep up the good work.
Yes, it's true. Drugs are a vice in our society, costing lives and huge economic losses. But the story is not the same because the game has changed. It's a red card for drugs in Nigeria. There is a new sheriff in town. Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa is moving hard and fast with full speed and precision to rid the country of the drug scourge. NDLEA Today is a program that gives you a front seat in understanding the highs and lows, the laws of drug enforcement in the country. Join us
Every Monday from 5:30 to 6 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, Africa's largest TV network.
NDLEA Today. Don't miss it.
The Directorate of Finance and Accounts is a key directorate central to the day-to-day running of the NDLEA. The Directorate is responsible for sourcing, managing, and maintaining all the financial transactions of the agency. Some of the core duties of the Directorate include: 1. Execution of sundry financial directives and matters. 2. Coordination of the financial transactions of the zonal state commands. 3. Effective maintenance and keeping of account books. 4. Liaise with IPPIS and GIFMIS on payment of staff emoluments and other financial transactions respectively. 5. Drafting the agency's annual budget in liaison with all relevant departments. 6. Preferring advice on the implementation of the budget. 7. Carrying out any other duties as may be assigned by the CCEO.
We manage the spending and also maintain all records of this spending for proper accounting of how public money is spent to the federal government.
For Abdullahi Shitu, the director in charge of the directorate, every improvement in the financial fortune of the Ndlea since the advent of the current chief executive is always a welcome development, since it will lead to further effectiveness in service delivery.
The leadership change, and the leadership come with a high spirit, with ginger. If you look compared to that period, most of us have low morale. A lot of officers have been having a lot of liabilities of their claims. Even officers who lost their life were not able to pay just their burial expenses. Since 2014 was the last time we paid burial expenses. The only way we can pay maybe once in a month, we pay just a single person. And we have over 150 dead cases. When the new chairman is on office, we come up with all the outstanding liabilities that we have made a lot of cases to the Ministry of Finance, Budget Office, and the President. But up to now, we have not had any result. The chairman took it upon himself to make a follow-up, and his follow-up yielded a very beautiful result. This has given the officers of the agency that confidence that now they have a leader that can be able to fight for their rights. People who have gone to court, attended court cases, court summons, and we have made a lot of success in prosecuting those cases, but they are not paid their transport allowances. It has been there for years. When this new chairman, he make effort to settle all this. Even medical expenses, those who have incurred injuries during operations, they are paid a lot of hospital bills, but we are not able to refund them. But the chairman paid all.
In keeping to its promise of ensuring that drug barons and cartels lose their huge investments in the drug trade, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (Ndlea) has carried out a public destruction of the 1.8 tons of cocaine recovered from a warehouse in Ikorodu area of Lagos State recently. The agency had, in a well-coordinated and intelligence-driven operation that lasted 2 days, stormed a hidden warehouse where 1.8 tons of cocaine were recovered and 5 suspects, including a Jamaican, were arrested. Following the historic seizure, which is the largest in the history of the Ndlea, an order of the Federal High Court in Lagos was obtained for the public destruction of the consignment. Speaking at the Badagry venue of the public destruction, the Chairman Chief Executive of the Ndlea, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, who was represented by the agency's Director of Prosecution and Legal Services, DCGN Sunday Joseph, said the sheer volume of the drug haul, with street value put at $278,250,000, equivalent to 194,775 million naira, speaks volumes about the extent of the nefarious activities of the drug underworld.
The bust of the syndicate responsible for the cocaine warehouse in Ikorodu is a message to drug cartels that their investments in the illicit drug trade will go up in smoke, while they also risk losing their freedom because the present Ndlea is committed to arresting, prosecuting, and ensuring the conviction of those involved in illicit drugs.
Of the 1.8 ton seizure, 1.828 blocks of the cocaine was crushed and set ablaze, while the remnants will be secured for the purpose of prosecution of the suspects who were brought to witness the procedure and sign the certificate of destruction. Like we usually warn on this segment weekly, you risk losing all your investments in the drug business, no matter how huge they may be. A word is enough for the wise.
Don't try it though. He go choke you up. When you start it to stop, it no go easy. As you dey drag and go, he dey drag you down. Water come out from my eyes, oh. When I remember the guys, oh. Hey, many of them kicking bucket, oh. Some cartoons like it, oh. Make we no forget, oh. No they talk it, oh. Say. Busy body. If you die, you go sad. Oh yeah, help me tell somebody. Say, rock up, you see body,
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA.
Ndlea Zonal Command in Kano has paid a wide advocacy visit to the management of Dala Inland Dry Ports, Kumbosto local government area of Kano. Niger State Command lectures married women at Babul Islam Islamiyya Mina on the role of parents in a drug-free family system. Leaders, National Council of Women's Societies in Akwa Ibom States, visits the State Command of the Ndlea for partnership. Ondo State Command of the Ndlea has lectured students of Adeyemi College of Education and selected secondary schools in Ondo Town on the menace of drug abuse. Borno State Command lectures security officers at the State University in Maiduguri on dangers of illicit drugs.
Do you know that smoking marijuana is not safer than smoking cigarettes? Research has found that smoking marijuana has the same health risks as smoking tobacco, and that there is not much difference regarding the damage both substances can do to the lungs. Do you know that saying marijuana is not addictive is totally incorrect? Many teens will try marijuana as a way to experiment with drugs, look cool, relieve stress, or to alleviate boredom. The myth that marijuana is not addictive can lull someone into a false sense of security and increase the rate of teens trying the drug. Unfortunately, pot is an addictive substance, and 1 in about 6 people who try marijuana will form an addiction.
On the feedback segment today, Shegun Adeyanju from Ibadan, Oyo State wrote, "Are prescription drugs safe? Are they legal? Because some of my friends at school use them." Here's your answer. If your doctor prescribes you a medication, you may take it safely and legally as it is directed. However, it's important to remember that prescription drugs are still drugs. They are addictive, and they are both dangerous and illegal if used non-medically. You can die from using a prescription drug that was not prescribed for you. Abdul Ismaila from Damaturu, Yobe State wrote, "Why are your men seizing marijuana? It's a plant. It's natural." Here is your answer. Marijuana, as it is called, may be a plant, but there are real and concerning health risk factors associated with the drug. Just because it's a plant does not mean it is harmless. It is illegal to be in possession of marijuana in Nigeria. Please don't break the law. And that's it on the feedback segment.
Please do keep the questions and comments coming. The channel remains NDLEA Today at ndlea.gov.ng or NDLEA Today at gmail.com. You are welcome. With the feedback segment, we have come to the end of another insightful episode of the program. Keep the conversation going by reaching out to us through social media platforms. Until then, it's bye for now.